singing Hine Matov, and you can find it on page 128 of your prayer book. I'll give you an intro. Okay? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Again, welcome. Don't worry about it. That's Zoom, which is always a minute or two, or YouTube, which is just a moment or two behind us. If you haven't had an opportunity to do so, before we formally welcome Shabbat, please introduce yourself to people nearby. If you haven't said hello to them yet, wish them Shabbat Shalom. Be sure to tell who you are and welcome.
Yes. You have your list of what you're supposed to do. Can I take it? So you can take it. Or are you nope. And you guys can sit. Can you both sit on
page 120? Well, we turn now to page 120 as Henry and Cameron's moms, Charlene and Doria, lead us this evening in candlelighting, which is found in our prayer books, in our Sidurim, page 120, as we now formally welcome Shabbat.
Either one, just pick one.
The source of light and truth, creator of his eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
And let's join together in the blessing.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher Etzivonu lehabrich Shabbat.
We now turn to page 126. Henry is our reader.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no surfaces, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illuminate all of us and to bring that vision to life.
Page 138 for Lecha Dodi. We'll be singing the first, the second, and then on page 139, the ninth verse of Lecha Dodi, page 138.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat,
Nikabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela. V'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamichad Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem ol tiferet v'l'tila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela.
Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'necha, Ki himekor habracha, Meirosh mikenen nesrucha, Sof ma'aseh v'hashabbat tehila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela. Bo'i v'shalom teret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'sohola, Toch emunei am segula, Bo'i chama, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nikabela.
We now turn to page 144 as Cameron leads us in the Chatzi Kaddish, page 144.
Yikadol v'yikadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Be'omad yivra hirotev yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayetechol beit Yisrael. Bagala uvizman karev. V'imeru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach. Le'olam u'me'omaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach. V'yipa'ar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh. v'yitalo, shemei kudisha barichu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damira milma, v'meru, amen.
Page 147, Cameron is our reader.
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song.
Page 146, we rise for the Baruch Hu, which is led by Henry. Baruch And on the bottom of page 149, I read, "Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim." And the bottom of page 150, praise to Adonai who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohel Amo Yisrael. Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Vayed.
Please be seated, page 154, as Henry leads us in the Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'lechtecha v'derech, u'shokbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot chayadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzotai, v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hoseiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, ve'hiyot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Emet. We move ahead in our prayer book to page 405 as Cameron reads, "Hold fast to dreams."
Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird which cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field covered with snow. Hold fast to dreams.
And Cameron continuing.
Doubting is but the forefront of faith, a faith in the infinite growth of an unbounded creation. A doubting age is one of restlessness and discontent with what is current. A doubt is an idea that is still alive. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be uncovered. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what shall be.
Turning back, page 158 for our prayer for freedom, Mi Chamocha.
And I would like a little help with the clapping. Do we have students who know how to clap? Yes, any of the students. If you're here to receive a Sidurim, or if you, any of the students, we would love to have you help us out.
Yeah. Great job, thank you.
Here, you guys can go on. Thanks.
I read on page 61, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'poeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. On page 162, Vishamru, found at the top of the page, page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בארץ העולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בארץ העולם. Oti, לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בארץ העולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בארץ העולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם. One more time, let's do it. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בארץ העולם.
Our service continues page 164 with the tefillah. We invite those who are able to rise. We'll be chanting the prayers on the right-hand pages, on the even-numbered pages, beginning page 164, continuing to page 170. Adonai Sifata Tifta Ufia Gita Hilatecha Adonai
May declare your praise. Baruch
And Cameron on page 170.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, Please be seated. May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, and who clothe the naked and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest. It is written in the Talmud, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamaliel said, Al Shlosha Devarim, that the world stands on three things: on truth, on justice, and on peace. These three things are interlinked. When justice is done, truth is achieved, and peace is established. Our greatest hope is for shalom, for peace and wholeness in realm upon realm. May our people and all peoples know the blessings of peace, and may the pursuit of justice and truth expedite the process. We sing Shalom Rav for abundant peace, page 178.
Shalom Rav
Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam.
Ki ata
Melech Hador
v'kol
Shalom. Ki ata Melech Hador V'chol Shalom. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh Shalom. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amecha Tasih Le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh Shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasih Silent prayer will be found on page 180. Tonight, several of our students received their Reformed Jewish prayer books. They received their Sidurim. Our prayer book is called a Sidur, as Judaism understands prayers to be organized, and the word Sidur means precisely that, to have an organization. The word shares the same root with the Passover Seder, likewise an organized activity. This Sidur, our prayer book, is called Mishkan Tefillah, meaning a sanctuary of prayer that is something to be treasured and appreciated as it connects us to God and to our best selves. This Sidur will be helpful to our students for the next step in their learning. As Jews, we celebrate books. We're called an Am HaSefer, a people of the book. The Sidur is a most special book that's known as a glimpse into the soul of the Jewish people. It tells what are our values. It shares what are our concerns. It speaks of our hopes and dreams. These specific books are a gift from our congregation's sisterhood, which works hard in so many ways to provide these gifts, and we thank Sisterhood for making this possible. A very important Jewish text tells us how the Torah was transmitted, and it teaches us that it first went to Moses, and then to Joshua, and then to the elders, and then to the prophets, and the like. At Bar and Bat Mitzvah ceremonies, our students receive the Torah into their arms after it has passed through Jewish generations that have preceded them. In similar fashion, tonight these Sidurim, these prayer books, will be handed down from leader to leader of Sisterhood. I don't see Sisterhood's founder with us, Judy. But I do see Peggy Klein and Heather Sipley and Michelle Rosen, and and Lisa Siegel. Of course, and we invite you forward. Oh, Judy is online.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Tonight, when we were asked to do this, it was really important that this be a Lador Vador ceremony for us from generation to generation, as Judaism is from generation to generation. And I realized it more this morning. When you look at the memory boards behind you, they're all lit up, as today is a Memorial Day. And this is the time that we remember people who are here before us, and we honor the generation that's coming up. So I'm really happy that we can do this today and share this with our students.
That's what you were saying. Halani Garana.
Lucas Gaines. Leah Obenshane. Henry Price. Ori Rose. David Thrasher. Jacinia Weiss. Xavier Weiss. Max Kovac. And Chase Langto.
Thank you. Absolutely. Congratulations. And we thank our sisterhood. When our students become bar, bat, mitzvah here, we give them a Kiddush cup, and which is also a gift from sisterhood. And so for some of you, it will be relatively soon. For others of you, it won't be as soon, but trust me, it is very, very fast. This time goes, and we are so grateful. As we offer the blessing for healing this Shabbat, we are mindful of Yvette Mickenberg, Pat Marignani, Hamora Tzvia Mina Bat Ita Tzvi Hirsch, Judy Sherman, Nurit Hockhauser, Herb Garber, Steve Gordon, Lucy Nunes. There are also those for whom we pray privately. For those in our sanctuary, we invite you to share out loud the names of people whom we likewise publicly pray this Shabbat.
Nancy Glover.
And Phil Feynman, and For those on Zoom, we ask you to unmute and say out loud the names of those for whom we pray this Shabbat.
Jessica Ann Bryan.
Betty Selmowitz.
Oh.
Thank you. For all, may the Holy One send healing and shelter in protection. Misha Berach, page 371. Who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Abby Peklo. I'm the director of the religious school here and the confirmation teacher. There are a lot of people speaking from the Bema tonight, so my comments are ultra brief. This year's confirmation class, Henry, Cameron, and Adam, who I think is somewhere in the back, he's our first year student. The class this year has been wonderful, and that's with a capital W. Henry, Cameron, and I have spent quite a bit of time together over the last 2 years. What a blessing for me. We can all sleep well tonight, knowing that the future of our Jewish community, and dare I say our country, is in capable, intelligent, kind, and thoughtful hands. Mazal Tov to Cameron and Henry, and to the Lynnettes and Blatter families.
Let's have you use this mic. So
For those of you who don't know me, my name's Henry. I think Abby just introduced me to you. One of the most interesting things I experienced on our confirmation class trips was the diversity of culture within Judaism. Not only heritage and sect of Judaism, but occupation and living conditions as well. What I mean is that after immigrating to the US in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, many Jews decided to move to other areas of the US to escape crowded lives on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. This resulted in many different Jewish people with different occupations living in different places, which is what we explored during our visits. From an Orthodox community in Waterbury to our Reform synagogue here in Southbury, there is so much to learn and explore about diverse Jewish people. Jews all around the world were facing prejudice in the centuries after the Middle Ages. There were pogroms and deep persecution in parts of Europe. Settling in Connecticut and the other colonies during and after colonial times opened up opportunities for Jewish people to live freer lives. Typically traveling in groups with other Jews, they set up communities all across the nation. The earliest known congregations in Connecticut are Mishkan Israel and Beth Israel. The Jews came from both Sephardic and Ashkenazi areas, notably Spain and Russia. Many notable communities, such as Newport, the Lower East Side, and our B'nai Israel Southbury, developed because Jews were migrating to these areas. Because of the many different skills Jews had, they were able to create self-sustaining communities. One of the best examples was tobacco farms, one of which we visited and met the farmer. There were many small, scattered communities in northeastern Connecticut, with larger communities closer to the New York area, which had already been established as a center of immigration. Hundreds of thousands of Jews flocked to the Lower East Side. Once a family got settled and saved enough money, they would typically move to another area of the city, state, or country. One such area was Connecticut, in which Jews became everything from shopkeepers to farmers. One of the oldest synagogues in the U.S. is the Toros Synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island, which our class recently visited. This community immigrated here from Brazil after the Portuguese gained control. When they came to the U.S., communities in New York suggested they go to smaller cities, and they chose Newport. As an important port city, Newport offered a wide range of jobs related to shipping and trade. When the Revolutionary War broke out, the British took control of the city and burned over half the buildings. The Toros Synagogue was spared because of its use as a hospital for British soldiers. Eventually, due to poverty in the wake of the Revolution, the original congregation dispersed, and the valuables were given to a synagogue in New York. Several decades later, when a new congregation was formed again in Newport, all the valuables were retrieved and the congregation is as it stands today. We visited the synagogue and learned about the struggles of the community, information that was an invaluable learning experience. The big problem that got us here in the first place was prejudice and discrimination. Early Spanish Inquisitions, then later pogroms in Eastern Europe, were a big problem for Jews in that part of the world. Pogroms were responsible for the deaths between 70,000 and 250,000 Jewish people and displaced millions more. Jews already in the U.S. raised money to bring their friends and families here. Things were much better for these immigrants once they arrived in the U.S., but not for those who stayed behind. We at B'nai Israel have been fortunate enough to have people who bore witness to the consequences of prejudice and discrimination. Leah Linton, for example, was a member of our congregation and a Holocaust survivor who we spoke to in my 7th grade year of religious school. Before her death in 2020, Leah shared her story with the congregation as well as with many people throughout Connecticut. Leah was born in Vienna, Austria. When Germany invaded Austria and Hitler enforced his prejudiced policies on the population in the typical fashion, Leah's best friend was forced to tell her that they can no longer be friends. She said of the experience, "I obviously did not know and understand that being Jewish was a crime, and I cried. Overnight, best friends, teachers, neighbors turned out to be enemies." End quote. Leah's brother was arrested on Kristallnacht and sent to Dachau concentration camp, where he stayed for 6 months, barely surviving the ordeal. Her sister was sent to Israel by her parents, and she and her mother went to the U.S. Her father, however, was refused passage, and he became yet another statistic of Auschwitz. Leah flourished in the U.S. and became the first female tree trimmer at the New York Botanical Gardens, which our confirmation class visited in her honor. While we were there, we said Kaddish for Leah and shared her story. The US was a better place for Jewish people to live, but unfortunately, anti-Semitism has been a part of US history for as long as Jews have been here. Prejudice against Jews and Jewish hate crimes have happened in every era. We learned at Burrs how the civil rights movement made a significant difference, and hate of all kinds decreased dramatically because of brave people, including many Jews, who wanted to see a change. We learned in confirmation class this year how to confront anti-Semitism, and that it is absolutely imperative that we as Jews address this. Before I conclude, I would like to thank the many people who devoted their time to helping us explore our rich history in America. I would like to thank my parents, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Linnetz, for supporting Cameron and myself throughout our adventures. I would also like to thank the rabbi for helping us with the service and the Burrs teachers for helping us obtain the building blocks for confirmation class. Also, I would like to give a quick shout out to Adam for making our last few trips a little bit more fun. Lastly, I would like to give a massive thank you to Abby Pecklow for organizing this incredible program, for educating and leading us throughout the whole process, and for taking on the incredible task of managing 3 teenagers in a car for 2 hours. Abby, we appreciate all you have done for us, and we cannot put our gratitude into words. To summarize, our confirmation class learned a lot about the diverse history of American Jewish people. When we visited the Orthodox Jewish community in Waterbury this year, we learned about our similarities and differences. We might not dress exactly alike, but their students, like us, love playing ping pong and eating pizza. Maybe the biggest takeaway is that we are all Jews, whether we lived in colonial Newport or the Lower East Side, or on a farm in northeastern Connecticut, in the Orthodox neighborhood in Waterbury, or here in Southbury. We now understand that there is so much diversity among Jews. Appreciating the history that produced this diversity is why we took confirmation class, and why I think anyone can learn from the lessons we were taught in this experience. Thank you.
So my name is Cameron. I was also with Henry, and I've been in confirmation class for 2 years, and it's been really enjoyable. So throughout my 2 years of confirmation, I've had a wonderful time going on numerous trips and extending my Jewish education past my bar mitzvah. One of the main topics that interested me was the diversity of religion in America. It has been so interesting learning about how other religions compare to Judaism and their beliefs in religion. To start off, I would like to walk you through my basic knowledge of religion before confirmation. Our synagogue is a Jewish synagogue, but not as strict as some others. I also knew that Christianity and Islam were closely related to Judaism and branched off of it. My knowledge about these topics expanded tenfold as the year went on. First, we went to an Orthodox synagogue. As most of you probably know, we are a Reform synagogue, which is mostly known to be progressive and have liberal Jews. There is also a slightly more strict type of Judaism called conservative Judaism, which is like the middle of the spectrum. What I visited was an Orthodox community, where I met many rabbis and saw hundreds of Jewish students. The first thing I noticed when we pulled into the community was everything looked the same as a typical elementary or middle school. Kids playing football, getting their lunch boxes, going to lunch, but it was a Sunday. I've always grown up in public schools where this would be a felony, having school on Sunday. I met the teachers, also known as rabbis, and walked into a typical Jewish classroom where these kids were talking and reading in just as much Hebrew as in English. The third grade classroom was more advanced in Hebrew than I was, already bar mitzvahed, and they were learning about not calling each other names, one of the most basic, kind, and basic ethics that we all know. It brought a whole new perspective on what being a Jewish person is. These kids' entire lives revolve around being a Jew, and it is normal to have genders separated at school. For them, it's normal to stay kosher and have a very strict dress code. These boys would go to school on Sunday, and everyone would pray all day on Saturdays. They thought we were the weird ones, calling ourselves a Jew and not doing these things. I learned it isn't just the variety of different religions, it is our own religion that changes throughout this country. Connecticut and this community in Waterbury clearly shows that. Later on in the year, Henry and I went to the Albanian American Cultural Center and Mosque in Waterbury. Here it seemed to me that the people were just as similar to us as the Orthodox Jews were. They also have a transliterated prayer book because most Muslims cannot read Arabic. And like Orthodox synagogues, they separate men and women when they pray. They have women cover their head and arms, and even have the same word, tzedakah, in their language. I'm sure all of you have heard of Ramadan, where Muslims fast for 30 days during sunlight hours, which is much like our Yom Kippur, where we fast for 1 day. On top of that, they have rules for eating as well, which are very similar to Jews staying kosher, and can even rely on kosher dairy and meat because they know it is treated properly for their rules. I found it interesting how Islamic struggles in Europe and migration are very similar to Jews in Europe, and there are thousands of Muslims throughout Connecticut who have left their families from Kosovo and that area. Overall, the diversity of religion in America is so much greater than I could have imagined, and there's so much more than I thought, in Connecticut particularly. There are so many similarities between religions, but also so many differences in Judaism itself. I'm so glad I got to expand my knowledge of my Jewish identity throughout these 2 years, while also learning about other religions throughout the country we live in. To everyone that made confirmation possible and helping me continue my Jewish education, I cannot express my gratitude to you enough. Thank you to Abby especially, who led these trips and stayed with the synagogue another year. We appreciate all the time you spend in improving so many students' Jewish education and devoting yourself, going above and beyond to make confirmation as possible, as it couldn't be done without you. Thank you.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song.
We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to belong.
We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past.
We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last.
Ledor vador nagid god lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name.
And all the
fast learners out there, we would love to have you join in. Lidor Vador. And you can actually just sing that a lot. Here we go.
Lidor Vador Nagir Kol Lecha. Lidor Vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Lidor Vador, these lips will praise your name.
You were almost there. I'm doing it one more time at risk of being thrown up. It'll be great.
Lidor Vador Nagir Kol Lecha. Lidor Vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Lidor Vador, these lips will praise your name.
Thank you, Rebecca and Linda. Indeed, this chain, as Abby mentioned, feels very, very secure with the wisdom, the intelligence, the commitment of our two confirmants. Maybe we should be calling you the B'nai Israel Brass. And, having come of age here, seeing your profound engagement with Judaism, with the Jewish people and our synagogue, I've long been a charter member of Henry and Cameron's fan clubs. As a congregation, we are proud not only of their commitment, but of how they express them in an engaging manner that shows respect to all. And from, as we've heard, from trips to texts, confirmation is 2 years of additional study post B'nai Mitzvah. It's a time for wrestling with deep concepts and further discovering how Judaism speaks to the moral issues of our time. And we invite forward our confirmation students' parents, Alan and Charlene, Eric and Doria, to join Henry and Cameron here on the bima. Guys, we ask you to stand. We say to our confirmands, to Henry and Cameron, learning is always valuable. Embrace it all your days. The Bible teaches how, when given the choice, King Solomon chose wisdom and knowledge over every other blessing. And in so doing, he received others as well. Like Solomon, may you treasure your Jewish education and seek to use your learning and acquired skills to help others. May you find further inspiration for personal growth. Misha Berach, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yivarechet, Talmidenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless our students. Like Abraham, may you have the courage to embark on new and exciting journeys. And like Isaac, may you embrace the world with love. Like Jacob, may you wrestle with challenges and triumph to be blessed. And like Sarah, may your experiences be filled with joy and laughter. Like Rebecca, may you be willing to help others as you continue your journey. And like Rachel, may you be loved by all who you meet. And like Leah, may you be blessed by the love of the family who will always cherish you. In keeping with that ancient trust, we thank the eternal source of truth and knowledge for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this milestone. We sing the Shehechiam.
could sing along. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'ehyanu v'hiyanu v'hiyanu la'ozman hazeh.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yinecha. May God's presence shine upon you and be good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be with you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov. Hey, hey,
We now turn to page 586. We rise for the Aleinu. We'll be chanting the second paragraph down on the page. And Ellen and Shirley, if you open the ark right there.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latei gdula lioseh breshit, shelo asanu k'yeh haratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adamah, shelo sam chelkeinu kaim, ve'lo ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. V'ne'emar, page 591.
Ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, limelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo
At this moment in our service, we now call to mind our own beloved dead. We pray on their behalf. We voice the confidence that they are remembered for blessing. I ask that those in mourning or remembering the anniversary of the death of a loved one to please rise if you are able when their name is mentioned, whether you're in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom. We note the recent death of Elihu Hill, father of David. During Shiva, we remember Retta Fagan. During Shloshim, we remember Audrey Megiddo, mother of Matt. We remember the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Paul Blatter, Rosman Count, Louis Danon, Nathan Fine, Murray S. Fleischer, Alan Chase Franken, Adela Landau, Edward Landau, Jeanette Lax, Philip Levine, Molly Liebeskin, Charles Light, Hyman Mickey Miller, and Emil L. Weil. We ask our worshipers in our sanctuary, should you have a dear one to add, to please rise and say their name. We ask our online worshipers who are on Zoom to unmute and say out loud the name of their loved one. For those in our sanctuary, should you wish, we invite you to offer a short remembrance of a dear one on our Kaddish list. Please raise your hand for the microphone.
All right. Well, one of my favorite stories of my grandfather, my papi, was obviously I don't remember much because I was very, young when he died of a brain illness. But one of my favorite memories was he always used to walk around in his house wearing shoes that were about 3 times the size of my feet. So my dad had shoes that were also 3 times the size of my feet, and since I was too lazy to put on my sneakers because my grandfather was doing it, I decided that I was going to walk around in my grandmother's house wearing shoes that were 3 times the size of my feet. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. We remember the Ukrainian victims of Russia's invasion. Each Shabbat, we also mention 6 names amongst the 6 million murdered in the Holocaust, the Shoah. This week, we remember Magnus Einhorn, Adela Lowy, Alice Urbach, Rella Lichtenberg, Chatzel Alander, and Emmy Hoffman. In remembrance and solidarity, and on behalf of those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we now invite all to rise if you are able. Our Kaddish prayer, page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma v'yirute v'amlich malchute B'chaye echon uvyom echon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mavarach Le'olam U'lalnei Almaya Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shmei d'kedusha b'richu. La'ela min kol berachata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'bromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zuchanam lebracha, may their memories be for blessing, and let us say, amen. Please be seated. Stephen Reps is the president of B'nai Israel.
Good evening, all. Welcome. Glad to see everyone here on this fine evening. Thank you for joining us on this Shabbat evening, either in person or online. Mazel tov to Cameron and Henry on becoming confirmands, and to all students who received their Sidurim. Thank you, Rabbi Linda, for wonderful service. Cameron Lonetz and Henry Blatter, wonderful orators. Absolutely both just wonderful, wonderful speeches. Thanks to Sisterhood and its leadership, and Rebecca Rosen and Maura Abby Peklo. For tonight's special oneg, thanks to Abby Peklo for coordinating. Terrific. Make your own Sunday bar. Good news to share. Good news. Ross. Oh, glad he's home safe. Joshua came from Israel. Wonderful. What else? Yes. Long weekend. It is a long weekend. That's good news for all of us. Thank you, Henry. Birthdays, anniversaries. Anyone else? Yes, Lindsay. 4 years sober. Mazel tov. Wonderful accomplishment. Anyone else? Birthdays, anniversaries? Whose birthday? Happy birthday, Charlene. Okay, let's see. Anyone else? Richard? Oh, Richard, yes. Absolutely. Memorial Day, wonderful day for to commemorate all our fallen soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen.
My dad's birthday was 3 days ago, and my grandmother's birthday was 4 days ago.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Eric.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
Okay, tomorrow morning, Torah study returns at 10:30 a.m. in person and in the Zoom room and online. Sunday, Rabbi's intro class at 10:45 a.m. Monday, Rabbi will be marching in the annual Southbury Memorial Day Parade down Main Street South at 11 a.m. Come out and say hello. And by all means, take the time on Monday to reflect on the defenders of our nation who made the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives for our freedom. Tuesday, Rabbi's discussion group at 11 a.m. Next Shabbat is Pride Shabbat at 7 p.m. Guest speakers, Ben Green. And 2 weeks from now is Blue Square Shabbat. Mark your calendars for our annual meeting, June 15th. We need congregants present here to ensure we make quorum. Immediately after Kiddush and Motzi is tonight's Oneg. The rabbi will be online to say hello about 20 minutes after the Motzi. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by Abby Peklo in honor of our students and by Lisa Siegel and the Siegel family on behalf of our congregation's ritual committee. Wonderful to see everyone. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
And get up and we're gonna do reading, okay? Whoop. And it's page, final song is Od Yavo Shalom, very peppy. Try to keep up with us. And it's page 657 in your prayer book. But you have these beautiful handouts. Thank you, Abby. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam, Salam, Salam Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam, Salam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam.
Please join in the blessing over wine or juice, and I think there's juice right here. And then in our motzi, Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Again, congratulations, everyone. Today was Shavuot. There's a special tradition on Shavuot of eating dairy, celebrating that we were just about to receive the Torah. Before we knew which meat to eat, the idea was you would eat dairy. Everyone's favorite dairy is likely ice cream, so please join us in the social hall for our Make Your Sunday ice cream. May God's presence be with you and give you peace. Shabbat Shalom.
I think, honestly, I'm gonna